Now listen, if you're the kind of person who thinks adding Coke to a 15-year-old single malt is acceptable, you might just be the reason this podcast exists. Welcome to the Non-Chill Filtered Podcast, where we unpack whiskey like it's emotional baggage.
What's up, guys? Jez here from Non-Chill Filtered. I have the beautiful Scott Christie with me tonight. Good evening, sir.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I am good. Now we surpassed all those technical difficulties and we are firing. I'm looking at these audio bars. They are looking crisp.
Very crisp.
I know. Feeling it. It's a vibe tonight. But
for sure.
We're going to kick off. Do you have anything interesting in your glass? I'm just about to pour some fun Jack.
So I actually today caught up with a former colleague by the name of, I call her Master of Carmen.
Oh.
And she gave me a little sample of the Keeper's release from Maker's Mark, which is this year's release in the wood finishing series.
Oh, stop it.
She just brought back from the distillery.
Oh, because I saw that drop. Just give them a little plug, I guess. The Drink Society were dropping it for like $3.50, which isn't a bad time. But if you're rolling with Makers, I still have my beam shelf up because I'm in the middle of moving at the moment. So I'm like stripped down all the whiskey. It's like 400 bottles of whiskey in boxes. There's probably 150 bottles left on the shelf. Yep. And it is slowly killing my life. It's like 2 weeks to go until the move, but it's just like everything is getting jammed.
Are you trusting someone with moving all that, or are you moving it yourself?
Bit of column A, bit of column B. All the bougie stuff behind me will get done. But then there's like all the open bottles are pretty much worthless in our world. So it's just like, give it to the movers. Yeah. They'll yeet it into the back of a truck and let's got our fingers crossed that it'll make it there. I might go the Sydney pick. Nice. Feels a little off brand, but your previous background kind of lands us there. Scott, give us your comic book 01 origin story.
Well, mate, I kicked off in the liquor industry in 1998. I was working for Liquorland down in Sydney, and down at Hurstville of all places. Shout out to Westfields. I was down
pretty
there, and then sorry.
I said that's pretty much around the corner from me.
Right. Yeah. And then, from there I moved up to Queensland, was working for Liquorland still. And, spent 10 years with them before I found the wonderful world of independence. And, worked for quite a few over the years. And, mate, from there, back in 2020, that little weird thing happened called COVID. And then I found my way onto the supplier side of things, dealing with the premium spirits at Coke, who are, losing all of those very shortly. Suntory take it back. And, I went back, obviously, I was at Sense of Taste working for Star for quite a while. And, I went back to run all the Sense of Taste outlets. And then, an opportunity came up with Brown-Forman, and that's where I am now. I'm servicing Ipswich, Toowoomba and beyond.
That is quite a resume. Hell, let's start from the top. Break down, like, what were you doing for these independents, essentially? Like you said, you started at Liquorland, and were you doing the same thing, essentially? Were you more involved in, like, the buying side, or were you, like, more or less
Liquorland.
Slinging booze?
Like down in Sydney, I was at Hurstville. I was just a, retail attendant, and then sort of assistant manager position came up at the lovely Rockdale. And then I moved to Queensland and started working at the stores on the Gold Coast. Back then, there was only 3 Liquorland stores on the Gold Coast. So it wasn't, it wasn't like, slot straight in here and go do this. Sort of had to go there as a casual, do something else, and then again, sort of just waited for positions to come up and started running stores. And then I found the freedom of working for independents. I guess with companies that are big like Woolies and Coles, you're sort of restricted in how much you can do and how much autonomy you have. Whereas with the independents, you can have a good crack and sort of boost things along and have a bit of fun along the way.
And they allowed you to have that flexibility, just working for those independents, essentially doing what you ended up doing on the back end.
Mate, a lot of them give you the freedom to, sort of go, all right, well, I want to focus on, selling some whiskey and doing this and sort of drawing that crowd in. You have to have the autonomy and the freedom to do that. Where it's a bit harder in some of those massive companies to sort of do something on a smaller scale because they want everything to be uniform.
No, absolutely.
But obviously, found when Sense of Taste was originally set up. We're having a lot of fun getting in some snazzy wines and whiskies and crazy beers and all the fun stuff. So it's I guess that's sort of getting into that world. I was already very heavily into bourbon. Then I was lucky in my early years. The first Liquorland store I was at, there was a shop around the corner. They used to make us go and do competitor checks, and I had to go to the Theos around the corner and get prices. And those guys hated you doing it. And they, what's that guy doing? There was one guy that worked there, Frank, and he used to cover for me every time. He'd be like, he's got his sister's 21st coming up. He's just getting prices. And he started, I was getting into bourbon, and he's like, he sold me my first bottle of Booker's back in 1998, and gave it to me quite cheap. Thanks, shout out to Frank. And
Cheers, Frank.
it's sort of it showed me that there was a lot more out there. Like I was, I guess I mainly started on Jim Beam White, like a lot of people did back in those days.
Shout out Jim Beam White. That's OG.
And then I had mates who were Jack Daniels drinkers, and then I got into JD, and then, through people like Frank and just talking to customers in store that were buying things like Makers back then and just trying to, I guess, understand what they were all about and trying the different brands. And it was, it was nothing like it is today.
No, it's next level. It's kind of like, you kind of led me exactly where I needed you to lead me, because how was your bourbon journey then? Because, you've been in it for so long. And you said acquiring those early Bookers. Did you just continue to buy those, I'd say, more upmarket releases, or was it you just kind of hammering in on all these new brands that were just emerging? Or
I was sort of trying a bit of everything. The whole small batch collection was there, and was getting, into a bit of Basil Hayden's and Baker's, and the odd bottle of Knob Creek. And then I remember I would have been 19, and I saw this. I was 18 or 19, and walked into a bottle shop, and they had this Jack Daniels 1905 gold medal sitting on the shelf, and I'm like, ooh, look at that. That's pretty fancy. So, started getting into some of those releases. Once I moved up to Queensland in 2000, I had a pretty broad selection of what was available in the country, and sort of got to a point where I had most of the American whiskies you could go and buy. And that's when, I started reaching out to people in the US and getting a hold of other things. So I was lucky that, I just turned 45. So I guess I was lucky that, and that was the prime of bourbon, I was buying, when I was in Sydney, I was buying bottles of Jim Beam Gold Label, and they were $50, mate. And it, and $50 was a lot of money for a bottle of bourbon back then. But that stuff, I was drinking it like it was, Basil Hayden or like Jack Daniels. It was there. It was $50. It's like, this is a pretty good value.
Exactly where it needed to be in the market, because I guess you've seen the shift as well, like sitting where, so I guess the BTACs and the Pappies and everything else, how that price has kind of gone up over the last, say, 10 years even. Hell, and then some.
And mate, I moved down to Ballina. I was still working for Liquorland at that stage, and it's like Ballina's pretty laid back, and I didn't live too far from the store, and I was spending a bit more time online and discovered straightbourbon.com, which is where I met a lot of my US contacts. These guys were in this chat room and they were just talking about bourbon, and I'm like, these are my people. And, there was a few Aussies in those chats back in the days, like my mate Cam, another mate Tim, Stephen was in there. So it was like you were starting to find this community of people who appreciated really good bourbon that had found this website. And it's like, hey guys, and it's like, mate, people like Cam, it's like, mate, we met over a love of American whiskey, and like, mate, our wives get on like a house on fire. Our kids are grown up together. It's really, really cool, man. It's,
it's great to see what like a bottle together. Of booze, can just bring people together. There's nothing more special than just opening a cool bottle in front of people, and you're just like, all right, we're going to share this now. And you're just going to create a moment in time where people get to enjoy that forever, essentially.
Exactly. It's, it's one of those things where it's like, I've been to plenty of things where people are like, you're really going to open that? It's like, yeah, I am. I think one of the biggest events where I did something like that was when Jimmy and Eddie Russell were out here to release the Wild Turkey Masters Keep 17-year-old, the first one in the series. They did a little event down in Sydney to release that at the Rocks, and I said to Toma, who was he was the Wild Turkey brand manager at the time, and I said, Toma, he said, what are the chances? I said, when this event finishes, I said, I've got some pretty good bottles in my bag. What are the chances that we can, a dozen of us can sit down with Jimmy and Eddie and crack them? And he said, mate, we'll make it happen. And a lot of the guys were coming up to me and they said, I can't believe you can open these bottles. And I said, if I can't open them with Jimmy and Eddie Russell and a bunch of people who will appreciate what they are, then when the fuck am I going to open them?
It's spot on.
And I think that sentiment is something that I always live by. It's like there's nothing that's off limits. It's just there'll be a right moment to open that bottle, and the right people to share it with. And, it's like I get joy out of sharing whiskey with people. And it's like I've had people that go, I'll go like, finish the bottle. And they're like, oh, you sure? It's like, yeah, I've tried it. I want to see as many people try it as possible. You know what I mean? It's there to be shared.
Do you find those bottle share, like I'd say bottle share events work up in Queensland, or like in groups, say? Like, because, you're asking everyone to bring a bottle of something cool. Do you think everyone's going to live up to the standard of something they really appreciate, or they're just going to grab their bottle of their favorite bottle of Jim Beam White Label they've got kicking around from the 1940s?
No, look, I think the people that I do that with on occasion, it is a case of, and it doesn't matter, like you say, a bottle of Jim Beam White from the 40s. If someone's got that and that means something to them, then great. If that tells a story, and you get to try something from yesteryear, it's cool. It adds to the experience. But in general, it's the people you're sitting with and, enjoying it with.
especially when there's like, I guess, good food there. The bourbon is top notch. The story is always important as well, because essentially the story is what brings people into bourbon as well. Like sitting down, having a
Yeah.
glass of something. It literally could be anything, but you're just taking the time to enjoy it, have a moment together. It's like music, right?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you as well, the part of your life where you're involved at Sense of Taste, how was
Yep.
that pretty much building this brand, this essential powerhouse where you were the forefront of all their content? That was all I was seeing in my feed from Sense of Taste. It was just your beautiful head just popping up doing literally anything and everything. How are you going, like, pushing that brand out there and involved in all those barrel picks, those many barrel picks they did?
Look, a lot of the barrel picks that were done at Sense of Taste were probably when I was at Coke, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of that was Justin Sherrill choosing those. He went over to Kentucky and chose a lot of them, and others were done in Australia. Yeah, I think it's really cool that we're at a place now where that's a thing in Australia and people understand it and want to grasp it, because it's something I was fighting for years when I was first there, going to people like Turkey and Beam and anyone that I could, saying, hey, I want to buy a barrel. And it's just, even when the likes of Vintage Cellars were doing the Turkey releases and they're like, oh no, we've committed to, these guys. And it's like, well, okay, I get that, but why can't everyone have a piece of the pie? We want something unique. And I think, more than ever now, I think, Brock and Whiskey on Australia have a lot to be thankful for in that piece. They've really driven that and made the market understand that there's buyers out here for these things, and we can make American whiskey a little
Great
bit
again.
more niche and special. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some say it's the greatest whiskey. But it's you're starting to see a lot of brands that people have never heard of. They sort of. I know when I was at Sense Taste and people would walk in a store and see something like Willett or Old Louisville and go, oh, what's this? It's like they're things that people just don't know but want to understand a bit more. And there's obviously the crowds that do know them and love them. And, American whiskey's hot, right? So there's more and more people getting into it and enjoying it and trying to understand it, which is pretty cool. But it's, as you touched on earlier, that also helps drive demand and therefore pricing up. So,
pricing's cooked. Honestly, it does my head in when I'm like looking at pricing and I'm like, how is this going for this much? Like Beam could flood the market with the old granddad and I'd be happy. Just like roll it out for like, I don't know, $150. And that is all I drink forever. Old granddad 114, just I'm done. But like for some reason they don't want to. They just want to keep it all. And I'm like, how about you just send the rest of it over here? Because Canada clearly doesn't want it. So
that's for sure.
It's got to go somewhere. Ship it directly to my place. That's all I'm happy to drink forever.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's like a lot of these. I've worked for. Like I understand that piece from the side of the company. It's like they people go, we want this, and it's like, they might have brought it out once, and it was half of 1%, and it's not even a blip on the radar for them. So it literally means nothing. And often those sort of moves just don't make sense to them. To a bean counter or something, they'd go, well, why would we do this? But
as opposed
there
to
are
shipping,
people out there that.
As opposed to shipping, like, what is it, plastic containers of Canadian Club, just stainless steel containers over to Australia, just chock full,
Yeah,
and it's like, flood the market. Like that's what the
yeah,
Australians want. Clearly, they cannot get enough of their CCN dry.
and that's it. When they see something that when there's two brands that take up 80% of the sales, and all the other little brands are they are just little notches on the wall. It's like, well, why would we bring out a limited expression with that brand because it's only this much of our sales, and it doesn't make sense to us. They don't understand the passion, I guess.
Is it just because they haven't actually released it in the current market, or are they just too busy servicing other markets to kind of just relinquish that like 0.25% to send to Australia? Because obviously they'd have room in those big shipping containers they're sending all the booze over in.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things, really. It's one, there's they don't have enough to service their own market, so they go, well, why would we send it anywhere else? And then I think it's a case of a lot of the time, well, we can fill the container 100% full of this, and we know we're going to sell all that like this, and why make it hard? Because again, they can't see the play, and obviously with Suntory setting up in Australia, I think some of those handcuffs will come off where we will start to see barrel picks from those guys, which is great. It's it is I know even now, like it's we're still doing some Woodford and Jack Daniels picks, and it's a hard process from start to finish to do a singular pick for someone and then isolate that stock and get it to here, and so it creates more hassle for them that isn't a necessity, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess why release like a single barrel for like one particular market when you can just, I guess, cut it to 45% and then just ship it out to Australia anyway, and then like single barrel it that way, if that makes sense. Or like go the what is it, the Jack Daniels like blending method for their selections, and they're just like, all right, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, and I always think like and it doesn't matter what brand it is, like if you were to go a wider approach where you go, all right, we're going to do a WA release, a New South Wales release, like one in every state, people will be chasing every state. You know what people are like. You'd have every one of them behind you on the back. It's
we
it's
would.
Just something that it's like, oh yeah, I'll find a spare shelf. That's fine. It's like the thrill of the hunt, So yeah, look, it's I think we've come a long way, but there's still plenty of movement that we could have in that space. And I know, there's a barrel. There's actually a Woodford barrel, 4 cents a taste, which it's in country, and we've just got to get it to them. So that will be hitting very shortly. Which how
does it feel to be on like either side of the table then? Because obviously being at Sense of Taste and then like doing your stuff with, say, even like CCA or even with Brown-Forman, do you see where like each side kind of falls over and there's no like real communication there to like get stuff happening, or even like if there's like something cool you can kind of get them, but obviously you don't want to burn the brand, if that kind of makes sense?
Look, I guess from a Brown-Forman perspective, like I guess I can't really speak on that. I've worked for them for 6 weeks, so I certainly don't understand their process behind things like that. But it's like, I know that obviously last year they were out in the market selling barrels, and I think there was a few picks done, so we should see some sort of slotting in and starting to pop up But yeah, I don't know how much of a focus that process is, and how much of that there will be going forward. I think they're normally the things that obviously the ecom team and the ambassador team were very on top of and switched on with, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not too sure on the brand plans for those sort of things going forward. Hopefully, we'll see a lot more of it, but yeah, I'm not too sure on.
Or just patiently waiting.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's I saw Whiskey Hunt's latest Old Forrester pick just came out and sold out instantly. It's like, yeah, people are certainly there for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Considering like how limited we are with our Old Forrester selection in Australia, like it's like all you're doing is getting 80 proof, and then people are like, "What's above 80?" Or are you
it's like
seeing that? Are you seeing that side of it? Like even when working in the store, yeah.
Yeah, and I know, when I was at Sense of Taste, and I was dealing a lot with Drew, and yeah, he'd like go, "Oh, mate, we've got a bunch of Statesman." It's like, cool, I'll take as much as I can get. It's like, because releases like that, it's like people see them and go, "Oh shit, I haven't had Statesman for a while," or I haven't seen it anywhere. Yeah, I'll jump on it. It's cool when releases like that, even if there's something that are getting allocated once or twice a year, it's people are always happy to see them and buy them.
Yeah, just see it pop up. Like I haven't seen Statesman in ages. Like I've had a heap on my back bar, like maybe 6 bottles. Just saw them going for like $50 a unit. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're perfect for. Well, it's like cheap. I'm sure it's much cheaper than whatever you guys were slinging them for. Like on that purchasing side, but
we're about $90 when we last had them at Sense of Taste, 90, 95,
Yeah.
But I really think, I always used to say to people, I reckon Old Forester Statesman's like best bang for your buck under $100 these days. Like it's just such a solid whiskey.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It would be cool to see, more of the brand. But again, like I say, this is pure speculation. But it's like, Old Forester. This is what it does in Australia compared to Jack or Woodford or Herradura or any of our brands. If it's not doing a lot, then how many times do you sit and try before you go, well, this isn't doing enough for it to make a difference to us having it in that market. Yeah, so I don't know.
Or is they're just not bringing in enough stock?
Yeah, mate, I'm not sure. And is it then
because there's no variety in there.
You brought up an interesting point before about Canada, and it's like, well, is that going to work to Australia's advantage, where we are seeing some more releases that Canada are going, well, we don't want it. How long is all that going to last for? And, I guess there's an opportunity for Australia to benefit out of that, but whether or not, the parent company of any of those brands want to do that or just put it back into their own market, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, we can only hope that, I guess, some of the overflow kind of just trickles its way down into Australia. But it would be nice. I did see on, I think it was like the back end of Brock's email, he said this is going to be the last Old Forester pick that happens because they're just not doing any more, which is very interesting because it's like, are they actually limiting that brand exposure in Australia? Because then we're only seeing, like, I guess, the 80 proof and the, what do we got? Just a Statesman on occasion. Whereas like you've got the full Whiskey Row series plus any limiteds and anything else that kind of happens there. It's like, are the consumers like really missing out here, or they just don't know, so they don't really care? It's only really your
Yeah, I don't
whiskey
know.
nerds that are like,
Yeah, and I think, with things like Whiskey Row, it's like there's certainly a market for those here. But yeah, again, do they have enough for their own market? And do they use it to get other things on
use it as a
shelves
bit of leverage.
all brands do it. So is it
Did
something
someone say
where they go,
Bible?
all right? No comment.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's why I said it. You didn't. It's fine. It's fine.
No, but it's that all brands do that to a degree. I would say,
Of course.
Yeah, and some do it in very different ways. But I guess we all want all of our brands on the shelf, but it can't always go that way.
So unless like Old Forrester releases like Old Forrester and Coke, we're not going to see anything new. Really? No.
Yeah, I don't
much.
know. Hopefully, but yeah, I don't know whether they'll go down the Old Forester and Coke.
I feel like it's too prestige of a brand. Like, you can throw as many, I guess, Jack and Cokes to Bogans, and we'll drink that shit up. I'm all about it. Like, number one Bogan at heart. I'm here for it.
Like, I mean, Jack and Coke's like capers and cream cheese, man. It's just like, have you ever heard someone sort of say, I'll have a Jack and Pepsi? It's like, Jack Daniels and Coca-Cola has just been one of those relationships that's been going on for years, and it just goes, right?
It
works.
And I'm very excited to actually have the proper Coke version in Australia. So
yeah, look, and that's something that I'd say is being worked on, but again, that's not something I've seen dates or anything on. But yeah, it's obviously a global push that they're doing that. But mate, we're very lucky. Like a brand like Jack Daniels, you don't have to do a lot to sell Jack. It's a powerhouse, and it's a really fun brand to sell and drink.
Oh, especially like just the events itself. Like I get to hang out with Andy for the Super Bowl collabs that they do with like different bars in Sydney, and it's a great day out. Like what we're doing is drinking Jack and Cokes all day and playing cornhole, like watching Super Bowl.
Yeah, it can't get much better than that, right?
It really does. It really does.
But it's really sorry.
No, you're right. You're right.
No, I was just going to say with the Jack brand, it's like we had the American whiskey show up here recently, and Linus came up for that one from Vic. You probably met Linus before, yeah? He's our Victorian brand ambassador. You might have seen him at Whiskey Live or something.
Yes, I spent a lot of
so
time with
Linus came up and did that.
Absolutely.
And mate, it's really cool. Like with they did the Sound of Bonded, and now it's like about the triple mash, and it's bringing more refined whiskey drinkers into Jack Daniels, because you look at like Jack Daniels Old Number 7 or Gentleman Jack. They're not whiskeys that appeal to purists, whereas some of these other releases will draw people in. They're a bit bolder, or the triple mash with the blend of the three different whiskeys. It's like it gets people interested, and it's really cool doing sessions like that. Like we probably did about 25 at the American Whiskey Show, and just seeing people's reactions to that and breaking the whiskey down. It's a really cool part of it, and just having people understand it. But also, rather than just coming up to a stand and us pouring whiskey, we're almost telling them a story.
It's a lot
and
more
I guess
engaging doing it that way.
it is a lot more engaging. And so many people came up to us and they're like, look, this was the most fun I've had today. Like, I drank a lot of great whiskey, but I enjoyed this the most. And that's really cool to be able to be an event like that and have that storytelling piece, because stories are what sell brands and stories are what make brands.
Especially now, like you see these non-distiller producers pumping out whiskey. They're just sourcing it all from, say, MGP, Midwest Grain Products, and they're bottling it under their own label and going, oh, look, this is my grandpappy's recipe. We dug it up from under the house, moved his body out of the way, and we go, look, it's our recipe. And they go, now we've bottled it and whatever else. It's 15 years old, but look, we've only been doing it for 2 days. I go, all right, your story has to be good, but also don't lie to consumers about what you're doing here. Like, it's important to go, hey, look, we're trying something new here. We want to do something fun. Let's finish it in something else, or let's do this like a different way, essentially mix up the mash bill, find something, I don't know, source weird barrels like Amberana, and like really just drive home the message. Where I was kind of headed with that, have you seen any brands that are like doing it really well, where they're taking a good story and going, let's kind of spin this and release a product from there?
I don't know. It's funny. Like, there's a lot of brands that have some great history and great stories behind them, but then there's also brands where you read the back of the bottle and you go, yeah, bullshit. So it's like anyone can tell a story, but it's about having that story. This thing flying around is annoying the hell out of me. It's like a moth.
I only just noticed it then. I was like, what is it?
It's trying to attack me. I've got a neon light on over there, and I think it's brought it out. It's but yeah, I think, like you said, it's if you don't have a great story, it's not about creating one; it's about making that story, and building that heritage up, and just, I guess, being true about where you came from and why.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, but I think it's we're seeing so many more brands out here now, and it's really cool. Like, I remember when like High West brought out the Prisoner's Share, and they're like, oh yeah, we got this coming out, blah blah blah, and then the company came around with the Prisoner's Share wine, which
like
is
a real prisoner.
It's like, no, the actual, because the Prisoner's Share is aged in Californian red wine barrels from it's a particular blend called the Prisoner's Share. Is it the Prisoner's Share?
The Prisoners, I think I've seen them. It's not the.
But it's, you brought the wine around. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. This is gimmicky. Had it, went, oh shit. Yeah, send us some of that. Like,
we'll take some.
It's an $80. I think it's 75 or 80% Zinfandel, and it was just gorgeous.
I know how you like his Zinfandels.
I mean, sorry.
I know how you like his Zinfandels.
I do love my Zinfandels, man. I do love my Zinfandels.
I think I need to have you back on so we can chat wine for an hour. That's what I'm feeling.
But like, I remember years ago, I think that might be on there. I've actually got this is a Buffalo Trace
finish. Oh, Buffalo Trace finished in
Zinfandel finish.
Yes, because I remember you sent me some that I shared with Denver, actually, when I had him over for the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, what is
6
that?
6 years, 3 months. Hang on. Yeah, bourbon's aged.
Do you find yourself gravitating more towards finished stuff now, or do you find yourself more of a purist?
I just like variety.
Yeah.
A lot of times people ask me, what's your favorite whiskey? And it's like, I cannot answer that question. that would be like, picking a favorite child. Like
Mum would say none but me.
what hits the mark one day doesn't hit it another day.
Spot on.
So many things influence it. So,
mood, day of the week, days off, overtime, who knows?
like obviously, now I'm with Brown Forman. Someone said to me the other day, "Oh, what's your favorite product in your portfolio?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's an easy Woodford Double Oak for me. Like, I love that stuff.
Oh,
it's a solid whiskey by itself. It makes a beautiful old fashioned. That you can do anything with it, and it stands up. But I do love that whiskey.
I am also with you on that one. Like all day, Woodford Double Oak. Like there's something about that chocolatey, marshmallowy kind of note. You kind of beat me out to one of my questions here, but now I'm going to really hone in on this one thing. What is your Woodford Double Oaked old fashioned recipe?
See, I normally would make. Hello.
Oh, I said you don't use it.
What did you say?
Yeah. No, I said,
well, no,
don't use
it's like it depends on whether I'm making them for myself or someone else, because I like a sweet old fashioned. So, it's like rather than 50 mils of Woodford and 10 mils of sugar syrup, it's like I'm someone else. I might put 5 mils of sugar syrup in. I might use orange bitters. I might use some barrel aged bitters. I might, so like the other day I was driving home and I was on the phone to Stephen Ashurst. Shout out to Stephen Ashurst. He, mate, just talking about maraschino cherries. And I said, I almost want to go home, make an old fashioned, and instead of using sugar syrup, use Luxardo syrup, like straight out of the cherry jar, and then use some chocolate bitters. So I guess, again, it's not, how do I make it? It's what type of old fashioned do I want to make? I think you can play around with so many different flavors with those classic cocktails that it doesn't need to be, this is how I make it. It's, well, this is what I want on this particular day. But like I say, throw that Luxardo cherry syrup in there and use chocolate bitters, and you got yourself a cherry ripe old fashioned. There's so much to play with. I actually got it last night, and then we started talking about barbecuing. And last night I got a pork tenderloin, and I was basting it in Luxardo cherry syrup, so it had this beautiful tacky sweetness on the outside.
Yum.
And I'd already marinated it in, a bit of soy, garlic, and some brown sugar and a bit of honey, and it went pretty good.
I didn't think this podcast was going to get erotic, but here we are. I am sweating thinking about that. So how did it come out though? Because it sounds incredible.
The pork, it came out really well. Yeah, I used all of the syrup I had in the jar. But I also put some of my marinade, which the marinade was too strong for it, so I should have just saved it all for the glaze.
Yeah.
But it's things like that. It's playing around with different flavors and just finding something that works. And it might not, like, even I love a mint julep, and like sometimes I'll use chocolate mint and chocolate bitters, and just really throw some of that in there to sort of cut through the sweetness. And I guess playing on any of those classics, and just making it how you feel like it at the time.
Yeah, I like that. I like it's not just cookie cutter, because I'm like how I like my Woodford Double Oaked old fashions. Like it's pretty much the same way every time. Only because I like super sweet cocktails. Like Australian palate's sweet, hence why we smash Jack and Cokes. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Hence why bourbon is number 3. Australia is number 3 in the world for bourbon consumption, from memory. But like, we love sweet. That's why we double down on sweet.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you though, can you take us through the sound of bonded? You were mentioning it just in case people don't know, because of like sound of bonded has been around for a hot minute since the first bonded release. Then we saw triple mash, and now the rise coming. I'm fucking pumped. But are you guys doing anything different with the triple mash, or it's pretty much the same process and it's just?
No, it's a similar process. Basically, we engaged. We got some musicians to play some bluegrass on separate tracks, and it was about engaging the tastes that you get when certain sounds are played, which is really quite crazy when you think about it. But the professor behind it, I was talking to Andy about this the other day, and he said they sent him a bottle of triple mash, and he was legit like out in the Colombian jungle. And he's like, well, I don't have an address for you to send it to. And like they had to send it to the nearest town, and he had to go and pick it up. But he sort of got those flavors, and they obviously, the triple mash it's a blend that's 20% of the American single malt, 20% of the bonded, and 60% of the bonded rye. So it's about going on that journey and extracting those flavors of the different whiskeys that make up that new whiskey. And I think too, it's like I said before, releases like that come out and they entice a different crowd to, regular Jack or Gentleman Jack. They're the sort
less
of
bogan,
things
more
that
upper class.
Yeah, it's people, and you might like our American single malt is a global duty free release only, but that single malt it spends 4 years in American oak and then a couple of years in sherry cask. So it's like even that whiskey being 20% of the triple mash, it's like all of a sudden there's that sort of influence of those dried fruit notes that people associate with a sherried whiskey. And all of a sudden there's this little element in the whiskey that will appeal to a Scotch drinker that goes, oh, I hate Jack Daniels, or, the people that of any brand that have had a bad experience on it when they were younger or drank too much of it, or it's too sweet. It's bringing a different crowd in, and it's a more experienced whiskey, But the three different musicians, and those sounds, like I say, they're made to bring out different aspects and have you tasting different things. But it's a really fun exercise to do with people because I don't know, I guess it's almost a little bit romantic, you know what I mean? It romanticizes the whiskey, and I guess if they understand the whiskey a little bit more, they feel a connection to it.
I think it circles back to our main point of the episode is just like creating a moment with other people with the whiskey, therefore creating that lifetime memory that you're like, I was actually sitting with Scott and we're listening to this music and I was drinking this whiskey and it was making me taste these things, and it's like essentially like a poem in your mouth. It's just like layered so eloquently and like creating all these different notes.
It's funny at the last session. Sorry, not the last session, but the second session of the American Whiskey Show. Yep. There was a guy that I knew that came up, and he's like, "Oh, Scott, we're gonna sit on one of the sessions that you guys do next." I'm like, "Cool," and he goes, "Oh, this is my mate." He said he's a muso, and he goes, he reckons it's a bunch of bullshit. And I said, "Oh, okay, no, that's cool." I said, "I'd be keen to, that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but yeah, I'd be keen to talk to you afterwards." And mate, after they did the session, he was just like, "Holy shit!" He said that was absolutely crazy. He said that was so cool. But there's there's science behind it. Professor Charles, who is this dude that was out in the Colombian jungle when we're trying to get this done. He's like, all right, well, yeah, we'll get some musicians, we'll get this recorded, that recorded, and he knew, what type of notes to drive taste to certain areas of the mouth, and whether it hit your sweet receptors or get out there and be a bit spicy. So no, it's really, really interesting.
It's
And
crazy.
It's crazy to think that there's people out there that like that's what they do, man.
Yeah, that's what this university's paying them to like research. I feel like I need to be smarter to like kind of hone in on what happens with bogans when we drink too much whiskey. That's I need to study. I need Jack sponsorship. That's what I feel like I'm doing here. Good use of university's time. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, I'll try and sell it. But look, I've hit the 50-minute mark. I am super grateful for your time. I can't believe how quick it's gone. Time has
flown.
Yeah,
it's been real quick.
I'm going to hit you with a couple of questions, okay? And then we'll be able to round this puppy out. What is one of the weirdest whiskeys you've ever tried? You're a man weirdest. Of many whiskeys. You've been in the game for forever, well before I was born. I'm only 12 this year.
Yeah, weird. I think one of the weirdest things I've ever drunk is some stuff that Stephen made to trick Big Del with a bunch of chili in it. That's something I never want to experience again. But I mean, we'll probably get Vidal another 3 or 4 times on it because not the sharpest tool in the shed.
That was one of my favorite videos to watch ever. We also got Spicy Ron with it as well. I think Ben was aging. Actually, he was pickling these. Was it ghost peppers in like a Knob Creek or something? Anyway,
far out.
Yeah, Bang Bus 2023, I think.
Yeah.
We ended up at Burrow Bar and just like all cheering Spicy Ron. And we handed him this whiskey and he necked it. It was probably the worst decision he made that day. He was dying. We were all in tears. I will have to insert video at the end here because it was horrific, but incredible at the same time.
I remember when Stephen first did it, and he had it probably a couple of months in, and he brought it up for my 40th. And he's like, "Oh, try this," and I'm like, no, "That's disgusting," And it's and I think it did another couple of years with the chili in there, and then Vidal drank a lot of it.
Yeah,
it was funny.
Oh,
it was funny because I didn't drink it.
I remember seeing the video of Del just dying from drinking this chili bourbon. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how you do it. That is very scary. I will hit you with your next question, though. During a whiskey apocalypse, all the bottles are gone, but one. Which one are you starting a cult around?
I just lost you there, mate.
It's one of those things you just got to like.
Sorry, mate. I didn't hear any of that.
Oh, okay. It must have dropped. That's my bad. During a whiskey apocalypse, all the bottles disappear but one. Which bottle are you starting a cult around? I could probably guess, but...
Sorry. Okay, so is it a bottle I've got, or is it just if it's
Could
one
be
bottle for
any
the rest of my life that I've got to buy?
one bottle for the rest of your life. That is what you're stuck drinking.
Mate, I could die a happy man drinking Woodford Double Oaked.
My kind of guy. I'm all
Like I
about
say,
it.
it's the versatility of it. You know, it's like if you wanna mix it, you can. Don't know why you would, but it's a great neat sipper and a great base for cocktails. So yeah, that'd be my my desert island bourbon.
I actually
You know,
feel like
there's things in here that I'd grab first in a fire, but you know, that's something else.
yes. Well, this is like it's still easily acquirable. It's not
Although if there was a fire in here, I would run.
it's going to go bang.
Yeah, it's gonna
How many
go bang.
bottles you sitting on?
I don't
Roughly.
know.
It's don't count. It's safer not to.
I had a
Safer not to.
spreadsheet once, and I thought it was safer not to have a spreadsheet because, yeah, I guess you know, like people say, I worry that I'll die, and then my wife will sell all my bourbon for what I told her I paid for it.
Absolutely. I was having the same conversation the other day, and I'm like, do you know what? Just message one of the many friends you know of mine that drinks bourbon, and they will give you either any money or like an accurate,
they will buy
price
all
of
of
like,
it.
yeah, they know what I'm sitting on. It's like, yes, it'll go to a good home. Absolutely. I'll round it out. If you could share a dram with a historical figure, who would it be?
Historical figure. Mate, I'm gonna stick it to bourbon, and one person I never got to have a dram with that I would love to is Booker No. You know, he's just he's one of the old school greats, and you know his son Fred very well, and have been lucky enough to spend a lot of time with him. But yeah, Booker is someone I'd love to have a drink with.
It would be one of those things you just want to sit down, take over like one of your favorite. I will say the 88 Bookers? You say 88 or 98 Bookers that you picked up?
I suppose that I bought it in '98, so it probably would have been a you know, a
96.
1992 or something like
92.
that.
Oh, 92. Oh,
91, 92.
yeah, well before I was.
And it's funny, I had that bottle, that first bottle of Booker's I had it for years, and my wife actually had it turned into a clock.
Oh, cool.
And my daughter smashed it when she was like 1 or 2. So I don't have it anymore, but otherwise I would have been able to tell you exactly because I can't recall, but yeah, it had the little label on it, had the dates and everything, but yeah, oops.
Oh, I am so sorry for bringing up that memory.
Oh no! Look, it was one. It could have been a bottle, mate. It could have been worse.
Yeah.
Could have had liquid in it.
Yeah,
that was the time where I realised everything had to go up.
Oh yeah, you just move it up a shelf and go.
Now
yep.
She's about to turn 17, so everything just got to be locked up.
Yep. Start putting a lock on that door. Well, Scotty, thank you so much for your time tonight, mate.
No worries, mate. It's been great having a chat.
Did you want to plug your socials, or if you have any bonded events coming up, especially for people in the neighbourhood up in that beautiful Queensland? Oh, you guys are probably having cracker weather at the moment.
It's been off and on. You know, we currently don't have an ambassador up here in Queensland with Carmen leaving, so that's going to be a while before that gets filled. So we don't have a lot of events. I am hosting a dinner tomorrow night, but apart from that, we'll have to wait before we have a myriad of events on. But yeah, you can check me out on Instagram at That Bourbon Guy.
Amazing. I will share your socials across, and I'll also share your Bourbon. Your was it your bonded event tomorrow night? As soon as I jump off this stream. So seriously, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for
That's been
tuning
good,
in.
mate.
Cheers, guys.
Good talking to you, mate. We'll catch up soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.